Hi everybody, my name is Jason White. I oversee two different businesses at the crowdfunding website Indiegogo. One of those businesses is equity crowdfunding. So for the first time a couple of years ago, it became legal for companies to fundraise on sites like Indiegogo by offering securities, shares in their company, loan opportunities, revenue sharing opportunities, etc. to the crowd.
So for any developers who want to build up their blockchain applications right now today, they have to facing a lot of problems. For example, what kind of blockchain technology to use? Should I use Ethereum? Should I use some EOS? And they also have facing the problem like today's blockchain are always very slow. And so what ArcBlock does is ArcBlock provided a few components. One of the components right now is already live today. It's called Open Chain Access Protocol. So basically, it's built on top of the technology of GraphQL. You can use GraphQL to access different type of blockchains. Right now, we already supported Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the OCAP protocol is open. So basically, the community can build together with different to support different kind of blockchains. So yeah, feel free to come to our website because there's something already live, and you can try yourself if you want to develop blockchain applications. Thanks.
I'm Adam Gehring, and I've been brainstorming about distributed applications ever since I saw the Matrix, and so for a very long time, long before Bitcoin. And so I like to do thought experiments on what kind of things you can build and look at the technologies that are being built here, like ArcChain, ArcBlock, Dragon Chain, all sorts of really interesting stuff, and see what can we build today, and kind of extrapolate that out. So I advise a lot of blockchain projects.
Hi everyone, my name is Simon Yu. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Storm. So Storm is a blockchain company based in Seattle. We started in 2014 when Bitcoin wasn't cool. All the VCs thought we were money laundering or drug smuggling because of Silk Road and Mt. Gox. So,
may I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please?
Yes. Well, I got your attention, so thank you. Yeah. And so what we do is we reward users cryptocurrency by checking out and completing tasks. And this could be anything from doing some chores, doing programming work, or checking out products and services, doing surveys, and a lot of variety of things. And we put this in the blockchain. So we've rewarded over $2.68 million to users across 187 countries. And we work with 200 brands right now, including Airbnb, Uber, Amazon, Twitter, and a lot more. So.
All right, thank you everyone for the great introduction. Let's get into it. So the first question I have is, I thought this was going to be a simple question, but it's actually a little bit more complicated than you would think. What is a decentralized application?
I'll take that one. So there's not actually a really clear definition of a decentralized application. A lot of people will define a decentralized application as applications running on the blockchain. Like an entire set of slew of contracts being fully decentralized.
May I have your attention, please? We are experiencing power interruptions coming in from Seattle City Light. It's affecting the high-rise part of our building, so the high-rise elevators are out of service right now.
No one can leave. You have to learn about blockchain, okay? Stay and learn more about blockchain.
If everyone wants to stay here until I finish talking, that's awesome.
Getting power interruptions.
So what I wanted to say,
Seattle City Light into our building, to the high-rise part of our building. High-rise elevators are out of service. We hope to have this resolved shortly. Let you know as soon as we find out more from Seattle City Light. Thank you for your patience.
all right, we need to put them on the blockchain or something. So this is why you need user-owned software. So we could just do an improvement patch really quickly and solve that problem. But that's actually the definition of a decentralized application. I think is you've decentralized all aspects of the application, from its resources to its governance to its design to its economy and whatnot. So you don't have to build out these applications on top of any existing blockchain. You can build it on future blockchains. Bitcoin is a distributed application. You can just build it on top of open source software, Linux, peer-to-peer networking. You can have an application actually be its own blockchain. So there's a much more encompassing definition of distributed application. It's more about distribution and not about the platform you build it on.
Okay.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. So today, the decentralized apps, there's no clear definition. So there's quite a bit of confusion that in the market that people might think this is, I'm building a decentralized app, but actually it's just an app that is using blockchain. I would say that applications that just use the blockchain probably not necessary to be a decentralized app. So for example, for the Ethereum, probably one of the app website that everybody using a lot is the Etherscan. Right? So the Etherscan itself is just like a typical website. The only interesting thing is it's connecting to the Ethereum, and actually I'm thinking it's indexing everything up from the Ethereum to the database. It's actually a typical web app, but it is definitely a blockchain application. But is it decentralized? Probably not. Right? For me, I think the decentralized app, the most valuable thing from the decentralized app is be able to use a token to transfer the value between the feature of the application itself. What does this mean? I think essentially, I think any kind of application is one of the protocol or a set of the protocol. Right? But in the old days, when we are doing that in the internet age, so the protocol itself is always free. For example, when we are using any web applications, it's actually built on top of some kind of low-level physical protocols, and then on the IP, on the TCP, on the HTTP, everything, all those protocols are free. The only one that captures the value is a service built on top, the very top of the service. For example, like the Facebook. Facebook is charging for the advertising, but it's built on the software that is completely free from the bottom up. So the Facebook captured most of the value, but many other persons, the folks who invented the IP protocol, who implemented the TCP protocol, probably they didn't make enough money. But the Facebook that built on top of the PHP made most of the money. Maybe PHP founder didn't make enough money too. So I think in the decentralized age, I think the thing has been changed. That when people create different applications, we can set up a token. The token can transfer and it can be represented the value of that part of the application. And a decentralized app means a bunch of apps can work together, and they can work together still as a protocol stacks. But other than the features that is powered by each of the stack of the protocol, they also have the token to kind of transmit the value and can divide the value automatically between different of those kind of decentralized apps. This is my understanding of the decentralized app and why it's valuable and how to use that.
Thank you.
I can probably talk about more of like a real life use case. So if you imagine Airbnb, for example, and so you have two parties and you want to connect them together. Airbnb is in the middle for two main reasons. So one reason is because one, there's a payments aspect. Do you really trust the other party that they're going to pay? And Airbnb ensures that there's some kind of security in that aspect because both sides can have trust because of Airbnb being in the middle. And the second part is the security part, because is this person actually trustworthy? Is the person that's going to be renting my house going to be a homeless person or someone that might ruin it or some party goer? And on the other side of it, if I pay to rent this house, will they actually let me in? And so this is where the marketplace model is really interesting for dApps because one, from the payment side, you don't have to have Airbnb in the middle. Essentially, you can connect the two parties. And what you can do that through is through smart contracts. And so you have an escrow account in the smart contract. So you say, hey, this is for $500. We're going to put it in a smart contract. And if both parties are content, then you can say both parties content with check marks, and then you can release the funds. And if they're not content, then you can go to the governance model, and then you can allow a source of people or however way that you set up, and you can have the masses or be able to decide, and you can give them a small reward or some sort of method to say that which party is actually right and have a dispute. And this way, you actually don't need Airbnb. You can actually get two parties to just make the transaction themselves. You don't need bank accounts. You don't need ACH transactions. All you need is the wallet accounts and just be able to send payments directly. And so you cut off the middleman. And so, it's definitely an interesting aspect.
I would just add, I think the nuance here is in what the definition of a dApp is. As Adam says, there isn't a commonly held a definition of it. In some cases, Adam, you've defined it as having decentralized governance and contribution to the project itself, potentially decentralization and how it's hosted, now or in the future, et cetera. But there's certainly a number of actors in this space who I believe define a dApp as being an application that is hosted on a blockchain. I certainly see many of those at Indiegogo. And if you take that as the definition, really the question, what are the benefits of a dApp, really amount to the same question, what are the benefits of building on the blockchain? And once you go to that question, there are numerous benefits as far as transparency and being able to build trust between counterparties. And in my view, there is virtually no industry that is not poised. It's a lot of double negatives. All industries are really poised to benefit just about from having applications on the blockchain. We've seen fascinating applications in healthcare, in marketplaces like Airbnb, in music, art creation, attribution, software development. There are virtually no industries that can't benefit from some implementation of the blockchain.
Wonderful. With that said, what are the top challenges facing decentralized applications that you've seen out there?
I'm happy to start that. From my vantage point at Indiegogo, I see everything largely from a financing lens. So at Indiegogo, when we launched our token sale platform in late 2017, we were very fortunate. We got a lot of press. The New York Times wrote a very flattering article about what we were doing following 10 years of crowdfunding. And from that moment, we were bombarded by companies large and small looking to fundraise. Many of them dApps, not all of them, but many of them at least self-described as dApps. And the issue from where we sit at Indiegogo is one of regulatory. As has been discussed, to have a dApp, there is an opportunity/need for tokenization. There's a notion of incentivizing all of the various actors in an ecosystem to do something, whether it's contributors to a project, customers of the dApp, contributors, etc. And that token model is integral to making the entire ecosystem work. The challenge, at least in the United States, is that the framework really is not fully baked at this point to enable all of the various implementations that could be quite advantageous to the ecosystem to a given project. And so figuring out how you do that, for example, in a dApp where the stakeholders may just be business users, but a token offering may actually become eligible for retail participation, there become all kinds of securities-related questions around how much, if any, utility actually amounts in those tokens, and other kinds of hairy conversations arise. So I think it's a regulatory challenge to start.
I think Jason just addressed a very important part. From the other part, I think from the engineering point of view, I think that today is just that there's not enough platform